of course, remains a vital role for the federal government in protecting unborn life.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade, and everybody said that was an impossible thing to do. I put on 3 Supreme Court justices.
That is Donald Trump. When it comes to abortion, when it comes to reproductive rights, he has a very clear track record of whether he genuinely is opposed to abortion or not. As a politician, he has promised that he's going to try to take away those rights, and he made good on it. You know, more so than perhaps almost any other issue. In his first term, he put justices on the Supreme Court that would and did significantly dial back reproductive freedoms. So that's the truth of who he is. And it's a truth that he would really prefer that you forget going into the 2024 election. According to leaks from his campaign, their strategy going forward is to pitch the guy who killed Roe v. Wade as a moderate on the topic of abortion. They're apparently planning to run the former president as some kind of sensible centrist on the issue during the general election. The magazine cited multiple anonymous sources as Rolling Stone, close to the Trump campaign, attesting to a plan he'd previously weighed, pursuing a middle path that might appease both Republicans and Democrats. Now, I don't know what that is supposed to be, but I would imagine that considering how mad Democrats already are at you, I don't know what that middle path is going to be that's going to supposedly placate them. And are there a lot of Republicans looking for a middle path on abortion these days? I feel like they've been fired up in the opposite direction. But before we dive into our conversation about whether this is likely to work, I just want to remind everyone of the sort of stuff that is waiting to be put into ads against Donald Trump if he tries to rebrand as a moderate. Not only all the videos that we just showed you, but when Roe v. Wade was taken out, he put out this statement saying, "Today's decision, which is the biggest win for life in a generation, along with other decisions that have been announced recently, were only made possible because I delivered everything as promised, including nominating and getting 3 highly respected and strong constitutionalists confirmed to the United States Supreme Court." Like, this is a guy that has none of the capacity that even some other politicians have to distance himself from his past, because he's a guy who desperately needs credit for the things that he has done or hasn't done, but still would like credit for. So he always goes on the record as saying that he's the one who did the thing. And this time, considering the results of the last few elections, when it comes to people being rallied around the topic of abortion, him wanting that credit could come back to majorly bite him on the ass. Adrienne, what do you think?
I definitely think it could bite him on the ass. He really seemed to lean into the stance of allowing pro-choice abortion to be something that an individual gets to decide. And then, of course, he flipped with the evangelical crowd. And as a result of that, as you noted, putting those Supreme Court justices in the place so that they could help reverse Roe v. Wade. And now we're seeing so many states and so many individuals come out and push back, preserving and protecting their right to abortion in their state constitution or through other legislative measures. And the thing is that is just something that I believe so many Americans are not cool with going into this election. So I would like to hope a lot of people are considering that when it comes to whether to vote for Trump or for Biden.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. I mean, it's been one of the strongest issues for Democrats over the last few electoral cycles. And so, of all of the things to have as your candidate, the guy who killed Roe v. Wade seems like a bad choice. That said, I will throw out there that at least as of right now, Trump is still tied with Biden. And in theory, people should know that he's the guy that changed the Supreme Court. So some of that could or should already be baked in. Now, it hasn't been the target of literally months of advertisements from Joe Biden's campaign. So does that worry you a little bit? Or do you think it's not on people, it's not front of mind on people because they haven't seen the ads and all that?
So in terms of Trump and abortion and people saying that they're still backing Trump with the numbers being high, to some extent, I think people are posturing. I think that they're going to do something different when they enter those voting booths, because the fact is that they've created this cult following as well as this identity built around Donald Trump. And so for them to publicly have to come out and say, no, he's good and I like him and I wear his shirts, but I don't think I want him leading again. I don't think that that's something that they can handle by way of peer pressure. And And so when they are truly alone in those voting booths, I think that that's where things are really going to show out.
Wait. So sorry, I'm trying to follow because I can see it going in either way. Do you think that these polls are overestimating Trump's support or the opposite?
I think they're overestimating.
Okay, that's interesting because, we'd been told in the past two presidential campaigns that they're always underestimating his support. Now, granted, he's been around for a lot longer now. Fingers crossed that it turns out that you're right. I want to remind people, by the way, that when we say that, he was, I guess, one of the most effective anti-abortion presidents in history, it's not just a statement. It's not just him saying he wants literally the people getting the abortions to be punished. It's not just the Supreme Court. One of the first acts that he took in office was to reinstate and expand the global gag rule, which blocks foreign organizations that receive U.S. health assistance from providing information, referrals, or services for abortion access. He also stripped Planned Parenthood of Title X funding, which makes up roughly half of the organization's finances. And so if you want to pitch him as a radical on this topic, there's a lot of substance there. You don't have to lie, like sometimes they do in candidacies, in campaigns. And he's done so much of the work for you. So we'll see. I think that this could be a serious hit to him, as I'm sure some of it already was in past campaigns. And that's before Roe v. Wade was actually destroyed.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.